One of the recent innovations that helps get patients transplanted are called donor swaps. So many patients come with a donor, but the donor proves to be incompatible, unable to donate to that recipient. So what folks have come up with is a way to match two pairs of donors and recipients, and donor A might be compatible with recipient B and vice versa, and that way we can get transplant out of donors that were otherwise previously turned down. Even more powerful than a swap is a chain in which a donor initiates a chain, and a series of otherwise incompatible donors can be transplanted sequentially over a period of months. This shows it here. And a key to getting this going is usually an altruistic donor who steps forth and offers to donate a kidney. So we're very fortunate in transplant that we see amazing things every day. And probably the most compelling of these is when someone offers to donate. And this could be a deceased donor or a family experiencing a terrible tragedy offers their loved one's organs, or a live donor that wants to donate to their family member. But I think to me the most striking is an altruistic donor who comes forth to donate even though they don't know who the intended recipient is going to be. And those altruistic donors are key to make these chains happen. Get the next one. So earlier this year I met an individual who offered to donate his kidney, and I was struck by his absolute commitment, his rationale for doing it. Sometimes when these people come forward, we question their motives, wonder whether they're doing it for the right reasons, maybe that they're crazy. Knowing that offering to undergo a major operation for no benefit to themselves, we always wonder whether it's the right thing. But this individual was so convincing to me that I thought you'd like to hear his story. So Mr. Peter Keating, in his 50s, retired executive, decided he wanted to donate his kidney, and Peter will tell you the rest.
Thank you, Dr. Markman, for that kind introduction. I'm most often asked, why did you do it? Well, like most of you, I've long supported causes I care about, but mostly with my checkbook. I've donated a lot of blood over the years, and I've often thought about being a bone marrow donor, but I just never got around to it. Then in February of last year, I picked up my Sunday New York Times, and on the front page, I read about an extraordinary chain of kidney donations. Now, I'd never heard of a kidney chain, and I had never given thought to donating my own. But the story, which I urge you to read, and I think you all have a copy of it, was astounding. The transplant chain is described as extraordinary because of its length. It was 30 kidneys that were transplanted. And it was extraordinary because the donors and the recipients all agreed to be identified and to tell their stories. And that was really compelling. From that story, I learned about how devastating kidney failure can be. I learned about the impact of transplants. And I learned about the hardship that patients go through with kidney failure, but not only that, their families and their loved ones. I learned about the great need that there were 90,000 people waiting for a kidney. The wonderful thing about the chain, as Dr. Martin said, was it was started by somebody who donated his kidney to no one in particular. That was a non-directed donation. And it ended with a transplant for somebody who was really hard to match and had no one who either could or would offer him a kidney. To me, this was the ultimate in high impact and leveraged donation. I thought, what a great way to do something and have a terrific ripple effect. So I was sold on that day. I learned a lot that day about kidney disease and about the amazing power of organ exchanges. What I didn't know was whether I would be a suitable donor. And I didn't know what the operation really entailed or what the recovery would be like. One of the first things I found out was that I was a viable candidate to become a donor. And what I found out next was that everyone thought I was crazy. Now, it happens that I have an identical twin. And I must confess, I took a small measure of comfort knowing that if I should ever need a kidney, my brother would be a perfect match, and I assume a willing donor. Paul, on the other hand, was a little less enthused because he noted that if he ever needed a kidney, I'd be all out of spares. My girlfriend, or as she's known at MGH, my post-operative caregiver, had some concerns, and so did my 2 grown children, but generally they were all very supportive. Of course, I was hoping to trigger a long chain, and what I learned from the article is the longer the chain, the more chance it will break down. A donor may back out, change their mind, a donor may get ill, and a recipient may grow too weak to actually accept the transplant. So I learned a lot about what a monumental task of coordination and matching that comes into this process of chain building. It was all done behind the scenes without my knowledge, but I was told, your chain is ready. And I was ready to go, but then that chain broke down. I don't know what happened, but it broke down. Then that happened again. So I was getting really anxious. And the third time was the charm. My chain resulted in 5 kidneys going to 5 people who desperately needed them. But back to the process. The first step was registering with the National Kidney Registry and selecting a hospital. Now, I live in southern Rhode Island, but I was much more familiar with New York than I was with Boston, and I picked a hospital there until I did the research on patient outcomes and patient satisfactions, and then I changed. I decided to go to Mass General, and that turned out to be an excellent decision. The transplant staff there was great, especially Ann Seward Hirsch, who I don't see here tonight, but she shepherded me through the process from the first phone call to wheeling into the operating room with me. Everybody there was very focused on my health, not just the health of my left kidney, and it was really a good experience. One of the reasons I wanted to be here tonight was to thank Dr. Markman semi-publicly for the wonderful job he did with me, both my surgery, but also taking the time with me and my girlfriend beforehand to allay all our concerns and answer all our questions. So thank you. As I indicated, the operation went very well. I rolled into the OR at 6 a.m. on January 30th, and by 1 p.m., my left kidney was on a flight out of Logan heading for Pittsburgh, and by nightfall, I was purifying blood and making urine in 2 states. Very pleased with it. I do not know who got my kidney that night. I'll likely never know, and I'm fine with that. I could have signed up for personal contact, assuming the recipient was interested, but I chose to remain anonymous. Now, my recovery from surgery also went very well. I knew just what to expect, and I did have a couple rough days right out of the box and a tender week or so, but it was actually better than I had been prepared for. In fact, I felt well enough just 30 days later to go on a long-planned trip to the south of France. I'm not saying I carried my own luggage there, thank you, but I did have a great trip. Today I feel terrific. Other than the small scars I have from the laparoscopic surgery to detach my kidney, a little scar on my belt line from where Dr. Markman removed it, I wouldn't know that I had done this. My right kidney has indeed stepped up and is doing for me exactly what the pair did before. So I certainly don't think I was crazy to donate a kidney to a stranger. And I also don't think I was altruistic. I say that because I got so much out of it. From a comprehensive review of my health to the deep satisfaction that comes with not only changing lives, but maybe saving them. So, I also got to come here and talk to you tonight. So there was lots in it for me. In closing, I want to ask and implore you to read the New York Times article by Kevin Stack. I came here tonight to also ask you and those close to you to consider doing something you may never have, and that's consider donating a kidney. Thousands of desperate people and their loved ones are deeply hoping you will, and I am too. I'd be happy to talk with anyone further later about my experience and why I recommend it, and as an incentive, I'm not at all shy about showing off my scars. Thank you for your kind attention.